Thank you for joining us for CBN NewsWatch AM from Graham. Ahead today, big tech and children, lawmakers asking what steps the government can take to protect them as Congress looks into the activities of social media giants, and employees at a key United Nations agency with links to terrorists. CBN News speaks to the former Israel ambassador to the UN about what should be done. Plus, we tackle the question, is our online world separating us from God? Talking to one expert who warns our smartphones and other digital devices can be taking time and attention away from our Creator. And gospel artist Kirk Franklin giving a voice to children facing struggles around the world.
Now you can record kids from different continents, different time zones, and have this moment where they're just reminding each other that even in the darkest times, here's my shoulder. You can lean on me.
We'll hear what he has to say about helping the least of these. All those stories and more are ahead.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
And we begin in Washington, where the question before Congress was, should big tech and the World Wide Web be regulated to protect children? Lawmakers investigating social media giants and whether key safeguards for kids even exist. CBN's Brody Carter spoke with those calling out big tech, demanding the wellness of children be put over financial interest.
As these three players see great growth in young users, they're also out to prove they've implemented safeguards. This after recent headlines highlighted how Facebook business practices could negatively impact children. Now, for the first time, lawmakers are working to put privacy regulations on big tech.
Kids as young as 9 have died doing viral challenges on TikTok. And we've seen teen girls lured into inappropriate sexual relationships with predators on Snapchat.
Protecting children from the ills of the internet took priority for the Senate Commerce Subcommittee. The main takeaway?
You cannot trust big tech with your kids.
The names and faces behind TikTok, YouTube, and Snapchat were questioned about their safeguards for children under 13. Senators wanting specifics on areas such as data collection, algorithms putting ads and sexual content in front of children, plus content ranging from glorifying eating disorders to self-harm to violence.
First of all, where kids play, predators prey.
Donna Rice Hughes with Enough is Enough wants to stop Instagram from starting its kids platform and needs help to do it by getting signatures supporting internet regulation. For example, did you know when it comes to those 18 and under that 43% speak to strangers regularly online at least once a week? Over 40% have either sent or received a sext message, and perhaps most shocking, kids under 10 represent 22% of that group's online porn consumption.
Some of these companies have taken some steps, but it's not enough.
Tuesday, lawmakers shared what they found after creating fake accounts across all platforms, imitating teens and adolescents.
An invite to play an online sexualized video game, tips on, quote, why you shouldn't go to bars alone, and articles about porn stars.
As legislators seek to protect kids, TikTok's relations with communist China raise concern for our national security.
Okay, so you're refusing to answer the question. That does not give this committee any confidence that TikTok is doing anything other than participating in Chinese propaganda and espionage on American children.
That's not accurate, and again, I would point you to
if it were not accurate, you would answer the questions, and you have dodged the questions more than any witness I have seen in my 9 years serving in the Senate.
One shared tactic admitted by each company is a metric used to keep you and your children using TikTok, Snapchat, and YouTube for as long as possible.
So we have had almost 3 decades of big tech not having any kind of accountability or regulation.
Lawmakers are now working to stop lucrative practices, especially these that prey on kids and keep them in front of the screen. In the meantime, experts say parents must assume the burden of being the first line of defense.
Parents, it starts with us, and we have to make those changes first, and then we can help our kids begin to make changes if we're out of control in this area.
The Senate subcommittee will review data from research conducted by each company on how their products affect kids. The future of big tech and questions of regulation remain uncertain. I'm Brody Carter, CBN News.
Parents in Loudoun County, Virginia are demanding resignations from the school board and Superintendent Scott Ziegler. The parents made the demand at a board meeting on Tuesday evening. Fox News reports the parents pointed to an email that surfaced last week where Ziegler told the board about a report of an alleged sexual assault in May. But around a month later, he said he had no record of a restroom assault. On Monday, a Virginia juvenile judge ruled a transgender teen was guilty of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old female classmate at a Loudoun County school. UNRWA, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, the UN agency responsible for Palestinian refugees, has often been accused of links to terror groups. Now, a UN watchdog group is calling UNRWA to identify employees it recently suspended because of ties to terror groups like Hamas. UNRWA reportedly suspended at least 6 employees accused of anti-Semitism and incitement against Israel. Former Israeli ambassador to the UN, Danny Danone, told CBN News UNRWA no longer serves a useful purpose.
I think it is about time to dissolve UNRWA. We have seen the incitement in the past. We have seen the curriculum in the UNRWA schools. And we have seen the collaboration with Hamas terrorists in Gaza. So I think, every once in a while you will hear those reports. I think for the long term, it is about time to replace UNRWA.
Next month, UNRWA will host a conference for donors looking for $800 million in donations. A critical move in the fight against COVID-19. Millions of children could soon be vaccinated against the virus. That comes after the Food and Drug Administration panel agreed to greenlight Pfizer's low-dose vaccine for children, with nearly all 18 members of the panel approving. Our Charlene Aaron has more.
The vote Tuesday by the FDA panel moves the nation closer to vaccinating young children against COVID-19.
We don't want children to be dying of COVID, even if it is far fewer children than adults, and we don't want them in the ICU.
While kids are less likely to die from COVID, children ages 5 to 11 make up nearly 2 million of the COVID cases. 8,300 have been hospitalized in the U.S., a third of them in the ICU. Pfizer says trial data shows the vaccine, which is 1/3 an adult dose, is nearly 91% effective against symptomatic illness in children ages 5 to 11.
That's an incredible finding. That's actually more effective than a lot of routine childhood vaccines we use.
The FDA committee stressed they don't support vaccine mandates for children, but they do agree that the Pfizer vaccine is safe for kids.
I didn't see any red flags in the data.
The White House is ready to ship 65 million pediatric doses of the Pfizer shots. That could happen as soon as next week, once the CDC gives final approval. While some parents are looking forward to vaccinating their children, others aren't so sure.
It's just a little child. I don't know how quick I would be to jump on a decision to do that.
If regulators agree, shots for kids could begin as early as late next week. Meanwhile, the CDC is now recommending another booster for people with weakened immune systems, saying they may need a 4th shot 6 months after their last dose. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Democrats are still trying to work out a deal on President Biden's massive social spending and climate change plan, including new ways to raise taxes. One idea appears to be dead: the Democratic plan for the IRS to start monitoring bank accounts. West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin said he asked President Biden, "Do you understand how messed up that is?" Speaking at the Economic Club of Washington, Manchin added, "This cannot happen. It is screwed up." Coming up, staying strong in your faith and time with God in our digital and virtual world. We're going to explore this for you when we come back. Stay with us.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
I'm Ephraim Graham, and this is Studio 5. Cruise with me as I discover the good things happening in the world of music, sports, television, and movies.
The fact that Ryan Coogler was going to be directing the film, I knew that something special was going to happen.
We'll chat with artists at the forefront of entertainment and explore the connection between popular culture and faith.
I asked my pastor, I said, well, does that mean I'm supposed to be a preacher? He says, well, no, you already have a pulpit.
Wednesday night at 8:30 on the CBN News Channel.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
There are many things in our lives that take our time and attention away from our relationship with God. And in our digitally driven world, our smartphones and other devices can widen the gap if we aren't careful. CBN's Gary Lane spoke with author Wallace Henley about the dangers of artificial intelligence and high-tech gadgets, especially when it comes to our spiritual life.
Just as the church and other parts of our culture are losing the vision of the transcendence of God with our focus on the immanent level, we have these machines emerging, and people are beginning to worship those machines. There's actually an AI church now. There's another technology specialist who said if this thing can go 1 billion times faster than the human brain, this machine, then the only thing that we can call it is God. So just about the time we're forgetting God, forgetting his transcendent majesty and our accountability to it, we're developing these machines that are taking his place.
I kind of like having information at my fingertips in the palm of my hand, and I look forward to getting a robot someday that will mow my lawn, maybe even fix the plumbing. Is there anything wrong with that? When should I become morally and spiritually concerned?
There's nothing wrong with that, as long as we understand the utility of it. I'm thankful every time I go to a doctor and they have to probe me, and instead of opening my body and doing exploratory surgery, they can stick something inside of me and find out what's wrong. I like that. That's great. That's much better. But what's dangerous is when we forget that God is enthroned, that we were made for transcendence. The human being is wired for that. St. Augustine said, the human heart was made by God and for God, and only God can fill it. And when we lose that sense, we lose the accountability. The founding fathers understood the importance of transcendence, and they said we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. And whenever we don't understand that, then the state becomes dominant, and the utility becomes the most important thing. So we've got to recover the sense, the understanding of the transcendence of God, the accountability we have to God.
And many parents and grandparents have expressed concerns, of course, about the attachment that young people have to their smartphones and technology. I've even seen teens texting one another across the room instead of engaging in verbal conversation. Is this tech creating a less personal world, a less compassionate and human one? What are your thoughts?
Certainly it's creating a less human world. We can be remote, we can be afar. We don't, and in churches now. One of the things that we've seen in the wake of the pandemic is the fact that many churches are not recovering as fast as they thought they would. I was in a church recently where only 30% of the people have returned. And so how can there be koinonia? How can there be the fellowship of the saints if we don't understand the spiritual implications of artificial intelligence and put it in the place it should be in? It's in the place of utility and advance. I fly airplanes all the time, in airplanes all the time. And so I'm grateful for that utility that we have. But we can't forget the reality of God. It was in the Civil War era, actually during the period of slavery, that we forgot the transcendence of God and we made people chattel. We made people simply possessions to have. And there's a sense in which this is repeating in our society now, in which we use people constantly without that fellowship, that bond that God wants us to have in relationship.
And in the 1990s, the popular saying, of course, was, what would Jesus do? Would Jesus have used this technology had it been available 2,000 years ago? And how does he want us to respond today, Wallace?
Well, I think Jesus probably would not have needed it, but maybe he would have said to his disciples, now, when you guys plan your missionary journeys, it's a good idea to look at this map and to pull up this screen and so forth. I don't think that he would not have said that, but he personally would not have needed it.
You know, I'm thinking also in terms of today and missionaries. I mean, there are electronic Bibles, Bibles that you can listen to rather than read. Does it make us kind of lazy a little bit? Let the technology do it rather than us doing it ourselves?
Well, it certainly does. And we need to meditate on the scriptures, not what a particular representation of the scripture tells us to think about. But here's the positive aspect. Jesus says in Matthew 24:14 that he will not come back until this gospel of the kingdom is proclaimed in all of the earth as a witness to all the ethnes, all the people groups, and then the end, the telos, the purpose of all things will come. So I'm excited about what technology can do in helping us get the gospel of the kingdom all over the world. And I'm grateful for that. It's when we allow that thing to become the predominant ruler of our lives, instead of being ruled by the lordship of Christ, but letting ourselves be ruled by that, going to Alexi for decisions, for fundamental decisions on this or that, fine. But when we come to giving ourselves so completely, without knowing it, to the machines, we're in dangerous territory.
Okay, all about seeking the Lord, is it not? Wallace Henley, Christian Post's exclusive columnist and author of the new book, Who Will Rule the Coming Gods? Thank you for sharing your time and insights. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Still ahead, gospel artist Kirk Franklin's new uplifting project, giving a voice to the least of these. We've got the story for you next.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy.
How many nickels are in a dollar?
There are 20 nickels in a dollar.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Gospel recording artist Kirk Franklin has a wonderful project showcasing the Compassion Youth Choir. He says so many children in the world are facing struggles we could never imagine, and he wanted to give them a voice, and he did it by re-releasing his song Lean on Me after more than 20 years with some young voices. Take a look.
say,
The Compassion Choir, you visit the DR with Compassion International, and we sit here with a Compassion Choir now?
Yeah, it's that I think that that music is the great unifier, and I think that it cuts through all of the political infrastructures. I think that it just cuts through every social construct that we have established to be able to separate each other, to be able to divide us into these socioeconomic areas that really do none of us any good. And so I was very grateful and excited to bring back a song that's over 20 years old and to be able to use it as a tool to be able to get these kids that are sometimes invisible to the rest of us because we are so busy scrolling and we're so busy trying to be bosses and to be entrepreneurs and be about that bag, and that sometimes the least of us get forgotten. A little kid somewhere just needs to be reminded that they matter. And so that's my job. My job is to do that.
all over the world.
So we're talking young people from some 25 different countries, poor, impoverished, as you mentioned. How difficult was this technically to pull off this recording with all these kids in all these different parts of the world?
It was crazy. It was crazy. These time zones, it was just crazy. It was crazy. What is it? Just necessity is the mother of invention. And I think that these last 18 months, we've been able to find out what certain buttons do. And it's like, oh, it's like, oh, I can do that if I push that. And so that's what we've been doing. And then you look up and now you can record kids from different continents, different time zones, and have this moment where they're just reminding each other that even in the darkest times, here's my shoulder. You can lean on me.
Take us back to, I guess you said this song is now 20 years old.
Over 20.
Over 20 years old. Writing it then, any idea that it would still have such relevance now?
One thing about the economy of God is that you can never underestimate his shelf life. Nothing is ever out of time. That's the amazing thing about him, is that he does what he does, how he does, however he chooses, even past our own intellectual understanding.
One of the things, I was reading some of the things that the children said, and they seem to all have been touched, not by just the voice lessons that you gave them or learning the music, but by you sharing your story with them, that hearing your story made them believe that their dreams are possible in Christ. How does that make you feel? I'm sure that you're probably seeing even more than I'm seeing.
It is very difficult to trust God's hand in some of your darkest moments, and you're not realizing that the construction of testimony is what he is always behind. Is that his job was never to make me happy. His job was to make me his, and in making me his, you become an oracle. You become a conduit to be able to say to people, and not only say to people, but to be able to live in front of people. If he did this for me, there's no question about the amazing end of story you will have once you trust in his love for you.
Something tells me that when it comes to these children and you and this song, this isn't the end of it. Any idea of what else you might be cooking up with them?
I have no idea. Whatever God has in the future, of course I'm gonna rock with him. So whatever he wants to do, let's get it.
Here's my shoulder.
Here's my shoulder, you can lean on me.
And for more stories like this, be sure to check out Studio 5. Tonight we have The Newsboys, a reality series changing the lives of widows, and Will Smith in the inspirational role of a lifetime. You can catch Studio 5 this evening at 8:30 Eastern, and you can find it on the CBN News Channel, or you can watch it on the CBN News app. Coming up, the final frontier may be settled in the future. We'll tell you about a major private effort to allow people to work in space when we come back.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphan's Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphan's Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
The next space station may be more like a starship village in the cosmos. Amazon founder and billionaire Jeff Bezos is announcing plans for the launch of his company Blue Origin's commercial space station Orbital Reef. The privately funded living, working, and research center would be a low Earth orbit destination after the current International Space Station is retired. The Amazon founder says an initial version of the outpost will be built in conjunction with Boeing and Sierra Space and will be flying before 2030. Bezos wants to pave the way for millions of people to live and work in space. His project is one of the latest examples of businesses moving into space. Time now for your Wednesday word, and today's word is faith. Faith is not an excuse to do nothing. It is the choice to work while you wait, and work knowing that God will honor your faith. Faith without works is not faith at all. It's dead. Remember this truth and make today a wonderful Wednesday. And be sure to have yourself a wonderful rest of the week. That's a wrap for this edition of CBN Newswatch. You can always find more of our programs on the CBN News Channel at any time. You can also find them online at cbnnews.com. We'd love to know what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can email us at the address right there at the bottom of your screen, newswatch@cbn.com. And of course, you can always reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We would love to hear from you. We'll see you right back here, same time tomorrow.